Hello, welcome back students, welcome to the class. So today we will going to discuss the gaseous state. In the previous class we have discussed about the intermolecular forces of attraction. Now the study of the gas allow us to understand the behavior of the matter at its simplest individual particle acting independently form. Because in gaseous state molecules are far apart and intermolecular attractions are least, almost completely uncomplicated by the interaction and interference between each other. So among all the matter what we know, gaseous particles they have the least interference among themselves. This knowledge of gases will serve as the pathway to our understanding of the far more complicated condensed phase like liquids and solids, in which the theory of the gas will no longer give us the correct answer, but still it will provide us a useful model so that at least it helps us to rationalize the behavior of these more complicated state of matter. We know that a gas has no definite volume or shape. A gas will fill whether volume is available to it. Contrast to this the behavior of a liquid which always has a distinct upper surface when its volume is less than that of the shape of the container it occupies. The other outstanding characteristic of gas is that it has low density compared to those of the liquids and solids. For example, 1 mole of liquid water at 298 Kelvin and at 1 atmospheric occupy a volume of 18.8 ml. So 1 mole of water is equal to 18 point. But under the same condition, 1 mole of water vapors compare the volume of 30,200 centimeter cube, that is nearly 1000 times much more greater than the volume occupied by the, you can say, 1 mole of liquid water. So there is no comparison among themselves. Volume occupied by the same amount of the substance in vapor phase or gaseous phase is far more greater in comparison to the volume occupied by it at the liquid position. Now there are various characteristics of gases which we have to really understand, that it is the least condensed form of the matter. It expands to fill both the shape and volume. It is fluid, so it can flow. It is high compressible, which shows that there is a large gap exists among the gaseous molecule. Particles are in continuous random and chaotic motion, which shows that it has a very great value of entropy. Pressure, volume, temperature, and number of moles are all interdependent. I am repeating once more. Pressure, volume, temperature, and number of moles, they are all interdependent relationship which are defined by the gases law. And most interesting thing, that is one of the part of the science where laws comes into force well before the theory has been established. The laws are well known and theory was developed later on by after 200 years by Bernoulli, Maxwell and Boltzmann. So that is also a beauty of this state, that gases law and experiments were well known. Their results were well known before the theory come into account. Are you getting that in your mind now? Sure. Now first off, look at the first parameter, that is mass, volume, pressure and temperature. What is mass? Mass of the gas related to the number of moles. Okay, so what can you say here? What is number of moles? Number of moles is equal to given mass divided by molar mass. Volume. Since gas occupies the entire space available to it, therefore, the gas volume means the volume of the container in which the gas has been taken. Everyone knows that 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml or 1 liter is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. I am repeating once more. 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml or 1000 centimeter cube. Okay, so in comparison to that, 1 meter cube is equal to, now remember that volume is what? Volume is, now compared to that, the volume is, since the gas occupy the entire space available to them, therefore the gas volume means the volume of the container in which the gas is enclosed. Now I already told you that 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml and 1 meter cube equal to 1000 liter. So in place of liter you will put again 1000 ml, so it comes out to be 10 power 6 centimeter cube. Okay, the pressure of the gas is due to the bombardment of the gas to the wall of the container. So remember that pressure of the gas is due to the collision with the wall of the container. The force exerted by the gas per unit area on the wall of the container is equal to the called atmospheric. So it is force by area. Now pressure is equal to what? Force by area. The pressure exerted means put up by the gas is the result of collision of the particle with the wall of the container. Low pressure means infrequent collisions of very little force are happening. High pressure means frequent collisions are happening and every collision has a greater force. Why? Because pressure is equal to force by area. So area of the container won't change. If the pressure change, it means force is changing. Now units of SI unit is called Pascal, that is the SI unit, that is Pascal, or bar. Okay, bar is also called the SI unit. So 1 atmospheric is equal to 1.01325 10 power 5 Pascal. Memorize that. Okay, 1 atmosphere is equal to 1.01 10 power 3 to 5 into 10 power 5 Pascal, or 101 kilopascal, or 101 kilopascal, that is the same thing. Are you getting that? 160 millimeter of mercury, that is pressure of the mercury column, is equal to 1 atmospheric. I am repeating 160 mmHg or 160 torsil, that is equal to the 1 atmospheric. Memorize that. Okay, similarly 1 bar and 1 atmospheric are nearly same, so 1.01325 bar is equal to 1 atmospheric. So you can say that 1 bar is equal to 10 power 5 Pascal also. Okay, I am repeating once more. 1 atmospheric is that many Pascal, or 1 atmosphere is equal to 1.01325 bar. Most important, 1 atmospheric is equal to 760 millimeter of mercury or 760 torsil. Same thing. The pressure of the gas is due to the bombardment of the gas on the wall of the container. The barometer, that is instrument determined the atmospheric pressure, was invented by Torricelli in the 17th century. Okay, atmospheric pressure is the pressure exerted by all the gases present in the atmosphere over the liquid columns. Now the atmospheric pressure is used by using the barometer. The pressure of the gas is used by using the manometer. Okay, This is an closed end picture of the manometer. This end is closed, no atmospheric pressure is over that. So whatsoever the gas, so in this column, this is all mercury is present here. Okay, are you sure about that? So before that, this is the valve through which the gas has been introduced here. Okay, before the entry of the gas, the height of the mercury column in both the ends are same, but when the gas enter here, okay, the height of this column will rises, so this becomes delta H. So delta H, you what you will do, you will do M into G into H. What you will do, M into G. So pressure is equal to the rho into H into G. Here G is the change in height. So rho means density of the mercury, G is the acceleration due to gravity, and H is the change in the height of the mercury column in the closed end. Are you getting that? Now look at those two manometer. Okay, that is the closed end and that is open end. That is open end. That is closed end. Now I told you already here in the previous case. Here also 1 atmospheric is equal to 101 kilopascal. Here also, so what you are getting, I am repeating once more, 1 atmospheric is equal to 101 kilopascal, or 1 atmospheric is 760 mercury. So you can see that 760 is equal to 101. So here difference in the height of the column is 105. So what you will do, you will solve like that. That if 760 is equal to 101 kilopascal, that 105 will be x kilopascal. So x will be 101 into 105 divided by 760. That value comes out to be how much? That value comes out to be 14 kilopascal. So x comes out to be what? 14 kilopascal. Easy or not? That is too easy. Similarly, look at there. Here what is happening? The height is increased on the gaseous side. Okay. Now what had happened in this case? In this case, difference in height is on the gaseous side. How much? That is 655 mmHg. So 655 mmHg is equal to 87.3 kilopascal. So what you will do, from 760 you will subtract that much, that is 87.3. So that comes out to be how much? That comes out to be the pressure of the gas. Are you getting that? This is open-ended. This is open-ended where pressure of the gas is also being added. That is 101. I am repeating once more here. This is open end. This is open end. Here what is happening? Here pressure of the atmospheric also taken into, air pressure is also taken into account. So this is the air pressure. So you will subtract that air pressure from the difference in height here. You will get what? You will get the pressure of the gas. So the same pressure of the gas is counted by two different methods. In closed-ended case, what happens? The gas rises in the open end side, and in the open end tube method, the mercury rises in the gas chamber attached column. So in one case, the difference in height would be equal to the pressure of the gas. In the second case, The difference in height should be subtracted from what? Should be subtracted from the atmospheric pressure, so that you can get what? You can get the true value of the pressure of the gas. And if you check that in both the cases, the value comes out to be same, that is 14 kilopascal. Whether you measure it by using open end or whether you used it by the closed end manometer. Now look at in this case, it is an open end manometer is given to you. In that open end manometer, what is being happening? The two end of the mercury column are on the equal height from on the both sides, in the gaseous side as well as on the open air side. Okay, in that case, P of gas equal to P of atmospheric. Now let's take example of second. Here the mercury column is H times more than in the open end column, and in the gas end column it is below, it is lower. It is lower in case of gaseous end and upper in case of air end. So in that case, what would happen? In that case, P of gas is greater than P atmospheric. How much? It is rho into H into G. Rho will be the mercury density of the mercury, H is the height of the mercury column, and G will be the acceleration due to gravity. If you want to convert that answer, then write the mercury column height in millimeter divided by 760, you will get the answer in atmospheric. Or write the millimeter answer in kilopascal divided by 101, you will also get the answer. So let us suppose here the difference in height is 60 millimeter. So put that value here in this case and you are getting this equation. So it is 1 plus 60 by 760. So 1 plus 6 by 76 is the atmospheric pressure of this gas B. Are you getting that in your mind now? Look at that very, very carefully. If the mercury column on the open air side is greater in height or it is upper side, then the pressure of the gas is greater than the pressure of the atmospheric. And you will add the pressure of the atmospheric plus rho into H into G. The height of the mercury column divided by 760, that is better method. Okay, you will get the new answer. Now let us suppose now it is reverse. The height of the mercury column is more in case of the gaseous side and lesser in case of open air side. It means if that is the scenario, it means pressure of gas is lesser than pressure of the atmospheric. So what you will do, from the atmospheric pressure 1, you will subtract the difference in this height difference is put here and divide by 760. You will get the new pressure of the gas. So that's how you will calculate the pressure of the gas in an open end manometer. In a closed end manometer also, the difference in height of the column, okay, you will get the answer. Same manner. But there you will not add the atmospheric pressure. The difference in height would be what? Will be the pressure of the gas. And last is about the temperature. Now in case of temperature, Kelvin scale is taken as the scientific scale of the temperature, and for all numerical purposes you will take temperature in degrees Celsius plus 273 Kelvin. Are you getting that? Okay, temperature in what? Temperature in degrees Celsius, temperature in degrees Celsius plus, I'm repeating once more, temperature in degrees Celsius, it is X degrees Celsius, and then you add, let us suppose you are talking about 100 degrees Celsius, 100 plus 273, it becomes 373 Kelvin. Similarly, if you have 37 degrees Celsius, what is T here? 37 plus 273. What is the answer here? 310 Kelvin. Don't put degree in case of Kelvin. So Kelvin is the scientific scale. So temperature is defined as the degree of hotness. The SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. Degree Celsius and Fahrenheit are the other two units, and you know how to calculate that. Now we will study our first law, that is called as the Boyle's law. Gases law are very important. Gases law gives us a quantitative relationship between temperature, pressure, volume and number of moles. I am repeating once more. Gases law do what? Gases law give us the quantitative relationship. I am repeating once more. Quantitative relationship between what? Quantitative relationship between the pressure, temperature, volume and number of moles of the gas. Are you getting that in your mind now? So you have to keep that into mind. So gases law gives us quantitative relationship. Okay. Now let's look at the Boyle's law. At constant temperature, it means T is constant. It is called as isothermal because temperature is kept constant. Okay. At constant temperature, the pressure of a gas of a fixed amount of the gas varies inversely with the volume. It means if volume increases, pressure decreases. If volume decreases, pressure increases. So both are inversely related. If one increases, other decreases. Okay. So what can you say? You will say that pressure of the gas is inversely related to what? Volume of the gas. So P is equal to K by V. So PV is equal to K. PV is equal to K, where K is called as the constant of proportionality. Where K is called what? Constant of the proportionality. That is the definition. That for a fixed amount of gas, if the T is constant, if temperature, so it is written that if T should be the constant, temperature should be the constant value. For a given amount of gas, if the temperature is kept constant, pressure of the gas is inversely proportional to the volume of the gas. So it becomes what? It becomes P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. It becomes what? P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. A plot of P versus 1 by V represent a line passing through the origin. So this is P versus 1 by V class. How it is there? If you take here graph of P proportional to YV, so P comes out to be K by V. So compare it with Mx plus C. So here M is equal to K and X is equal to 1 by V and Y is equal to P. So what you are able to get? You are able to get a graph in which the line passes the origin. Why? Because C is 0. Because C is 0 in this case. Are you getting that or not? In this case I am talking about. Are you sure about that or not? So line is passed for all the gases, not only this case. For all the gases, the line will be passing through the origin. Are you getting me or not? So that you have to take into account. For all the gases, it passes through the origin. Sure about that? So it means that a plot of P versus V at constant temperature for a fixed is a rectangular hyperbola. Okay, let's look at that. So these are 3. 1, 2, 3. As the temperature increases, so what T1 is greater than T2, greater than T1. So T3 is the least temperature. Are you getting that or not? So it is a rectangular hyperbolic graph. Look at the graph once more. That if you draw P versus V It will be a hyperbolic graph. Are you getting that? If volume is low, pressure is large. If volume is large, pressure is low. So both are what? Both are inversely related. Both are inversely related. I am repeating once more. P versus V. So when pressure is large, volume is less. When volume is large, pressure is less. Why? Because pressure and volume are inversely related, but they are inversely related. Are you getting in your mind now? Are you sure about that? Very simple graph that is. So as the temperature, you can see here also that what is happening T1, T2, T3. T1 is the, so this is the blue graph is what? Blue graph is the graph where temperature is maximum, and T3, that is your red graph in which the temperature is least. Okay, so this you have to see. Are you okay with that? So this is T1, T2, T3, and T1 greater than T2 greater than T3. You have to keep this in your mind. Okay, temperature also kept in your mind. Okay, because as the temperature increases, slope keep on decreasing. Repeating once more, as the temperature increases, the slope keep on decreasing. So look at the graph once more now. If we draw P versus V, it will be a hyperbolic graph. If we draw P versus 1 by V, it is a straight line passing the origin. Are you getting that or not? So you have to keep into your mind now. Okay. Similarly, P is equal to K by V. We all know that. So if we apply pressure that dP by dV, the answer comes out to be minus K by V square. Minus K by V square. So what can happen there now? So dP by dV at constant temperature will give you this type of graph. Okay, are you sure about that or not? This is what? This is also, this is called derivative form of the Boyle's law, that dP by dV at constant temperature will be minus K by V square. Minus K by V square. Mass is also constant. So at constant mass and constant temperature, dP by dV is equal to minus K by V square. So you can, and that is also equal to slope. So if someone asks what is slope of the graph, it is minus K by V square. Okay, what do you mean by that? So if you take a look at that graph now again, P is equal to 1 by K by V. So derivative of 1 by V is equal to minus 1 by V square. So dP by dV comes out to be minus K by V square. So minus K by V square is called what? Slope of the graph. What do you mean by that? That if you draw P versus V as a graph, okay, slope at any given point, any given point will be what? Will be equal to what? Will be equal to, that is slope. That slope equal to what? Slope will be equal to minus K by V square. Slope is equal to minus K by V square, because here it is V1, here it is V2. Are you getting that in your mind now? Are you sure about that? So slope of the graph is minus K by V square. Minus K by V square means if pressure increases, volume decreases. If number of moles and temperature remains constant. Are you getting that in your mind now? Are you sure? So that you have to keep in your mind now. Similarly, you have P is equal to K by V. So applying log both sides, what you will get? You will get this equation minus log P. So if you draw log P versus log V, it will be a negative slope -1, okay, with intercept value equal to what? Intercept equal to this point is equal to C is equal to log K. This point is C. Yes or no? Intercept value. Are you getting in your mind now? Sure. Now let us suppose that at constant pressure, volume of the gas is 0.7 liter at 1 atmospheric. If the pressure becomes 2 atmospheric, what is the new volume at constant temperature? So the constant temperature P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. So P1 is what? V1 is 0.7 and P1 is 1 atmospheric. P2 is 2 atmospheric. What is V2? V2 is equal to 0.7 by 2, that is 0.35 liter. So volume is 0.35 liter. What is the volume? 0.35 liter is the volume of the gas. Here in this case.